You might think bizarre hybrids like the mythical chimera, with a lion's head, a goat's body, and a snake's tail, roaring and spewing fire, only exist in the dusty pages of ancient Greek mythology. Well, you might want to rethink that. Let's come back to reality. Look at this adorable little goat, peacefully munching away in a lush green meadow. It looks completely normal, docile, a little goofy, and just as harmless as any other goat on Earth, until it casually opens its mouth and shoots out a glowing neon blue spider web to catch a fly. It's true! This is a spider goat! Scientists have literally spliced the DNA of a golden orb weaver spider into its genome, giving this goat's mammary glands the ability to produce massive amounts of ultra-strong, highly elastic spider silk protein. Yes, you heard that right. Spider silk used to weave bulletproof vests, and we are milking it straight from a goat. Welcome to the dazzling and slightly insane era of genetic engineering and super-evolved hybrids. An era where the line between the craziest Hollywood sci-fi movies and actual laboratory reality has been completely erased. For billions of years, Mother Nature was the sole architect, blindly shaping and deciding the form of all living things. Evolution was a slow, ruthless lottery, relying entirely on random mutations and the absolute harshness of natural selection. But today, those ancient rules have changed forever. Humanity is no longer just standing by, twiddling our thumbs and watching evolution happen. With microscopic molecular tools, we have directly hacked into the source code of life, slicing and rewriting DNA sequences at will. We have officially kicked Mother Nature out of the driver's seat and put our own hands on the biological steering wheel. But hold on, before we dive too deep into this sci-fi future, welcome to the world of super-evolved hybrids. Let's rewind a bit. Us humans playing God and messing with the genes of other creatures isn't exactly a new hobby. Thousands of years ago, long before we knew anything about DNA or modern laboratories, our ancestors approached the fiercest, wildest wolves using little more than leftover scraps of meat. Over millennia, through continuous selective breeding, they accidentally engineered a massive burst of biological diversity, turning nature's ultimate killing machines into flat-faced, wrinkly pugs. They can barely breathe. And all of this was done simply by picking animals with traits we liked and mating them. But this traditional method of selective breeding is like trying to write a novel by throwing alphabet soup at a wall. It's painfully slow, taking centuries and countless generations, and it relies entirely on the blind luck of nature. You never actually know which genes the offspring will inherit. Things got a lot more clear and scientific in the mid-19th century, when a monk named Gregor Mendel came along, with his garden of peas. By crossbreeding green and yellow peas, he unlocked the basic laws of inheritance, opening the door to modern genetics. However, those grand discoveries only helped us understand the rules of the game. We were still just watching from the sidelines. The real change, the true madness, where humans can break all the rules and literally reshape creation, has only just begun. Imagine the genome of any living creature, from a tiny bacterium to a human being, as a massive encyclopedia containing billions of letters. In the past, if you wanted to change a genetic trait, it was like trying to fix a typo in this giant book. By ripping out the entire page, throwing a bucket of ink at it blindly, and praying it magically formed new words. It was a nightmare of inaccuracy. But then, science found something called CRISPR-Cas9, a tool that changed the game forever. If the old method was ripping up books, CRISPR is like the find and replace function in Microsoft Word, but for the genome of all living things. The crazy part is, humans didn't invent this incredible system. We borrowed it from an ancient microscopic war. For billions of years, bacteria have used CRISPR as an immune system, remembering virus DNA to slice them up if they ever attack again. Scientists harvested these molecular scissors, known as the Cas9 protein, and equipped them with a highly sophisticated RNA guide map. This map is programmed to scan along the endless DNA sequence, hunting down the exact location of the gene that needs to be edited. Let's say we want to disable a bad gene. The The system scans, finds the perfect target, and Cas9 makes one clean, decisive cut. When the DNA strand is broken, the cell's alarm bells go off. The natural repair mechanism frantically rushes in to patch the wound. And right in that moment of chaos, scientists sneakily drop a brand new DNA segment into the gap. Like, say, a gene for spider silk. The cell accidentally stitches that new gene right into the original code. Boom! The encyclopedia has been flawlessly rewritten. With absolute precision and incredibly low cost, CRISPR isn't just a groundbreaking medical tool. It's literally nature's magic wand, bringing our craziest hybrid ideas to life. Just like this goat. So, besides our superhero spider goat ready to join the Avengers, what other biological marvels has CRISPR magic brought into the real world? Let's dive into the freezing waters to meet the Aqua Advantage salmon. On the left is your average Atlantic salmon, and on the right is its souped-up version. By splicing in growth hormone genes from the Chinook salmon and an anti-freeze gene switch from the ocean pout, this eating machine never actually goes into hibernation. It just eats and grows year-round at a terrifying speed, reaching market size in literally half the time. For the food industry, this isn't just a genetic miracle, it's the ultimate money printer. But salmon aren't the only bodybuilders on the roster. Let's head ashore and take a stroll through these ultra-modern farms. Meet the Belgian Blue cow. Just look at these rippling muscles. They look like they've spent the last decade pumping iron in the gym. They grow so massive that their meat yield completely crushes that of regular cattle. But the secret to this insane strength actually lies in a broken piece of genetic code. Normally, animals have a gene called myostatin. It acts exactly like a safety handbrake, stopping muscles from growing beyond a certain limit. But in this breed, or through CRISPR editing, the myostatin gene is cut. The handbrake is smashed, and the muscles just explode endlessly. Today, science can replicate this mutation in pigs, dogs, mice, or, well, you really don't want to imagine a six-pack pigeon flying over your head. Bulging muscles still not weird enough for you? Then let's leave the gym and head over to these scorching hot deserts. Take a look at this featherless chicken. And no, it doesn't have some weird disease, and it didn't just crawl out of a boiling pot of soup. Specially bred to withstand record-breaking heat, disabling the feather-growing gene helps them dissipate heat perfectly. And, of course, saves processing plants a ton of money on plucking. From spider silk armor to maximum meat yields, we are forcing living creatures to evolve into biological machines that serve humanity. But greed never really knows when to stop. You think hypermuscular cows or spider silk are the limit? Not even close. The true ambition of genetic engineering is stepping into the realm of life and death. Medicine. Right now, tens of thousands of people are desperately watching the clock on organ transplant wait lists. The demand is massive, but the supply is tragically low. So, scientists came up with a crazy idea. If humans don't have enough organs, why not get another species to manufacture them for us? And the absolute best candidate for this job, surprisingly, is the pig. Welcome to the wild world of xenotransplantation. Why pigs? Because the size, structure, and growth rate of their internal organs are an incredibly perfect match for the human body. A biological mirror image. But there's a deadly roadblock. If you put a regular pig heart into a human, our immune system immediately raises the alarm, recognizes the invader, and attacks, ruthlessly tearing it apart in a matter of minutes. This brutal process is called hyperacute rejection. To bypass this strict security system, we once again have to call upon our stealth assassin, CRISPR, to deeply hack into the pig's embryos. First, they use molecular scissors to completely cut out the genes that create pig-specific antigens, basically shredding its pig ID card. Then, they splice in a bunch of human genes. The organ is essentially given the perfect biological invisibility cloak. The result? The human immune system looks at the pig heart, nods like, "Ah, this guy is one of us," and opens the gate. This isn't just sci-fi theory anymore. The heart beating steadily in that chest over there, literally carries a piece of your genetic code. And the very first historic xenotransplant surgeries have actually happened, opening a door of hope for millions of patients worldwide. It's miraculous, but also a bit dizzying. If a pig carries a human heart, lungs, or even human brain cells, then where exactly is the line between us and animals? Are we just curing diseases, or are we creating real-life chimeras? Let's pull our eyes away from today's labs and cast our gaze toward a much more distant and somewhat darker future. As climate change ravages the planet, turning lush green pastures into cracked, barren deserts and boiling the oceans. Instead of putting in the effort to save the environment, humanity might just choose a lazier and far crazier path, modifying the animals themselves to survive the apocalypse. We could engineer super cows so heat-resistant that they could casually chew cud while taking a dip right next to an erupting volcano. Or flocks of sheep with redesigned kidneys, capable of chugging salty ocean water without breaking a sweat, completely solving the drought crisis. And of course, pig farms genetically programmed to be 100% immune to the absolute worst pandemic viruses, protected by an impenetrable biological shield. But the ambitions of these genetic gods don't stop at the atmosphere of our little blue planet. As humanity reaches out into the cosmos to build massive space stations floating in orbit, we're going to need food sources that can perfectly survive and thrive in this bizarre zero-gravity environment. Or looking even further ahead, the conquest of Mars. A freezing, bone-dry planet absolutely drenched in deadly radiation. Sending Earth animals up there is a literal death sentence. So, science will just have to custom-build entirely new pioneer creatures. With genetically engineered ultra-thick skin packed with anti-radiation pigments, they'd create their own biological shield to bounce cosmic rays right back into space. They'd be the perfect companions, happily munching on red Martian rocks and producing super nutritious milk to help astronauts survive on a dead world. For the first time in the 4-billion-year history of this planet, the blind, random process of evolution has been completely broken. Humanity is now standing at the ultimate control console of life. But do we actually have any idea what buttons we're pressing? Sounds like a wonderful, all-powerful utopian dream, right?
It's too perfect.
But
something's wrong.
the universe's Murphy's Law
Did you
is
see that
always
glitch?
lurking in the shadows. Murphy's Law states, anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and nature always finds a way. What happens if a massive superstorm sweeps through the farm, tearing apart our multi-layered security fences? And boom! A school of gigantic super salmon carrying a biological machine of non-stop growth escapes into the wild ocean. With their massive size and the terrifying appetite of a vacuum cleaner, they will aggressively outcompete and steal every last scrap of food. The result? Native wild salmon populations starve to death. A devastating hyper-local extinction event occurs. But nature is a deeply intertwined web. You can't just violently yank a brick out of the middle and expect the wall to stay standing. No wild salmon means thousands of grizzly bears along the rivers don't have enough fat to store for the winter. They starve. Without bears dragging fish carcasses into the woods, the giant trees lose their natural nitrogen fertilizer. The lush green forest slowly withers away. And the most terrifying part? If these genetically modified creatures mate with wild species, the artificial mutation leaks into the natural source code. It spreads like a stealth virus from generation to generation, a permanent genetic pollution on a global scale. We can send ships to clean up an oil spill. We can pick up the very last piece of plastic trash on the beach. But once artificial genetic code is mixed into the wild, you can't just hit Control-Z or mop it back up. It acts as a biological neutron bomb. A slow-motion, completely silent explosion. But its aftershocks will silently and permanently reshape Earth's ecosystem in a way completely beyond anyone's control. The ability to rewrite the source code of life is the greatest and arguably the most terrifying power humanity has ever held in its hands. With it, we could eradicate horrific genetic diseases, feed billions of starving people, and maybe even resurrect lost forests. But just one tiny misstep, fueled by greed or hubris, and we could plunge the entire ecosystem into an irreversible catastrophe. For the very first time in history, we are no longer the passive products of blind evolution. We are the designers. The only question left is, will our wisdom catch up to our power? Life will always find a way, but from now on, that way might just be programmed by us. Thanks for joining us on this crazy biological journey. If you love science, check out our shop to grab your very own and totally safe mutant plushies. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on the greatest mysteries of the universe. This video was made possible in part by our amazing friends on Patreon. Stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.